Somebody's asking about delinquent tax returns. You're welcome. You're welcome. Somebody's asking about delinquent tax returns. So we spoke this for the US. So we spoke about delinquent tax returns for sales and use tax, or indirect taxes, which are akin to like GST or VAT in other jurisdictions. Now someone is asking about delinquent tax returns for personal income tax. So they've been traveling, they've been seeing the world, which is all good. And unfortunately, they haven't been keeping up to date with their personal tax filing, which does happen. Life gets the best of us. What do you do? Now, first of all, you're not alone. It happens to a lot of people. So don't beat yourself up too much. You want to look at one of the options for coming clean with the IRS and getting on the right track. Again, I know there are people, I'm perfectly aware that there are teams out there that will tell you to hide, or, I believe in, getting and having no problems. I have no problems going to sleep. I'm not worried. I'm not looking over my shoulder, wondering, if somebody's out to arrest me or whatever. And I don't want that for any of our clients either. So I always advise people, just do the right thing. You'll sleep much easier knowing that you're doing the right thing. You don't need to worry about anybody trying to catch you, right? So honesty is the best policy. You need to sit with a professional, and we need to understand whether your non-compliance was willful or non-willful, like what we discussed earlier. Not willfulness isn't explored or defined in the U.S. tax code, so we rely on case law. So if it is that you intentionally avoided or evaded a known legal duty, you have been willful in your non-compliance. If you did not intentionally avoid that known legal duty, then you are non-willful. So most of our clients tend to be non-willful, so they'll fall under something called the streamlined compliance procedure. It's driven by the statute of limitations. So regardless of the number of years that you've been non-compliant, the look back period is 3 years for returns and 6 years for FBARs. FBARs stand for the Foreign Bank Account Report. Again, with international tax, with U.S. international tax in particular, the emphasis is on disclosure. They want to know what you're doing rather than just simply collecting taxes. And we know that because the penalty for not providing information is way higher than the penalty for not paying your taxes. So for not filling out an information return, it could be civil penalties or jail time. You can actual criminal penalties. So I guess pretty aggressive, pretty nasty. So you don't want to mess with that. So 3 years return, 6 years FBARs, Foreign Bank Account Report, a requirement since the 1970-71 Bank Secrecy Act. It is not new. So people who tell you it's new, it isn't. It goes all the way back to before I was born, before probably you and I were born, right? So you want to get your FBARs ready, you want to get your personal returns ready, including disclosure of any investments you may have made, interest in companies and stuff like that, trust, foundation, whatever the case may be. You need to get that all out there, right? And you get that together with a form 14653, in which you need to do some sort of statement explaining the reason for your non-compliance, like if there was any drama in your life or misunderstanding of the tax rules, or if you were improperly advised by a less experienced practitioner, you want to put it all in there. Just be honest, completely honest with the IRS as to why you haven't been filing. Most of our clients file it themselves. If your situation is a little bit more complex than the ordinary, we would advise that you speak with a specialist tax lawyer, that one of those that we work with, the one that you know on your own. There's specialist tax lawyers that specialize in drafting those non-willful statements. So you probably won't pay attention to that. If it is that your non-compliance was willful, and we've seen that again with people who, for whatever reason, they tried to get away with it, but now they say, you know what, I want to sleep well at night, so I'm going to come forward voluntarily, right? So there's a program within the IRS manual itself. So there's voluntary disclosure. There used to be OVDP, but that's gone. But there is still voluntary disclosure available. For that, you definitely need a lawyer. We can introduce you to one of the lawyers that we work with, and he or she will walk you through the process. We still put together the returns. They work on that statement, because the statement is still needed. You still need to approach the IRS in the right way, and so on. So the point is, don't run. You need to get those tax returns in. It will always haunt you. And we've had, I don't know if you're aware that the IRS can have your passport revoked. And we've seen it with increasing frequency. Up to last month, we had a client, I won't say what part of the world he or she was in, but we had a client, and it's not unusual. We probably see them, let's say, not every day, but let's say every 7 or 8 months now. someone approaches us, hey, my passport was seized. Normally what happens is that the person would approach the local embassy wherever it is you're living to get your US passport renewed. That's typically how it would be. And then they take it from you, and then you say, well, when can I get it back? And they're like, oh, you have a problem with the IRS. Well, we're not allowed to give you back your passport, and we're not allowed to issue you a new passport. So you're in a foreign country and you're without a passport. You need to figure that out. So then they come to us all panicking and, sweating and shouting, and we're super upset. So you can lose your passport, which is a huge stick that's being waved at people right now. You don't want to end up in a bad situation. You don't want to have a lien against your home back in the US, against any investment accounts you may have in the US. And we've seen bank accounts frozen, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't want to get in that kind of trouble. It does not go away. Bankruptcy does not relieve you of any IRS tax debt. That's a fiction. If it is that you do declare bankruptcy, you still have any tax bills, it will still be due in full. So don't run. Don't avoid the notices if they're coming to you. Don't hide. Just please reach out to either ourselves or your preferred tax professionals and get things done the right way. So you have options, most popular of which would be the streamlined, as well as if you have been willfully in non-compliance, you probably want to look at voluntary disclosure together with a qualified tax attorney. So hope that helps.
So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.